going to be nearly as nice, and I'm not going to cry. My name is Jascint Vukelich. I have the honor today to be the best man at Steve and Abby's wedding. I was listening to the radio a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about various fears that the bride has on her wedding day. To my surprise, the biggest fear had nothing to do with tripping down the aisle or saying the wrong vows or saying the wrong name on the altar. The number one fear that a bride has on her wedding day is the best man speech. And I know this is somewhat true because Abby, over the last couple of months, has been kind of curious about what I was going to say tonight. You can say something nice about me? Please say something nice about me. Please say something nice about me. Give me the Steve. Notre Dame kicked off and lost at 11 o'clock, so we've been drinking since 11 o'clock, so I can't make any promises, but we do my best. Steve and I have been best friends for over 13 years. We met freshman year in college. We both were from Pennsylvania. He was from Philadelphia, I was from Pittsburgh. So we bonded over our Pennsylvania roots and Keystone Light. At the time, Steve was an aspiring dentist who hadn't quite yet failed calculus. I was the cool kid that lived downstairs. It was a fast friendship that moved quickly. Maybe a little too quickly, but it's alright, it felt right. Throughout college, Steve and I were inseparable. And we went together like Bert and Ernie, or in case Big Ten girls, Notre Dame guys.
Yes, sir.
Or Obama and socialism. Just kidding. Just kidding. I know the crowd. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry, Mr. Hines. Sorry, Mr. Hines. So, a couple years ago, I had the privilege of listening to Steve give one of the greatest best man speeches of all time. He made fun of everything from the groom's eyebrows to his shaving habits. He made fun of his wife. Unfortunately, it was my wedding. I was the groom. But luckily, Steve, I'm not a man that holds grudges. I didn't hold a grudge not freshman, my 21st birthday when you made me do 30 shots. I didn't hold a grudge junior year in college whenever we threw a party. Our floor just happened to collapse, and Steve dealt with it the best way he knew how. He went to the bar and left me at home. And I didn't hold a grudge when you rang in the new millennium at my friend's apartment, redecorating it with a mixture of vodka, mini hot dogs, and taco dip. See, friends don't hold grudges. Friends get even. See, as Steve's best friend, I know things about him that most people don't. I know that when he was a freshman, and his high school girlfriend broke up with him, he cried. A lot. I know that Steve couldn't tie a tie until he was a senior in college. I also know that girls who, didn't know his name, whenever he would walk down the quad or walk in the cafeteria, used to call him tall, bald, scary guy. So, I know a lot about Steve. I don't hold grudges. So, when I was thinking about this speech, I really wanted to try to come up with one word to describe my best friend. Oh, Abby might have disagreed up until today. Committed came to mind. Steve is easily one of the most committed individuals that I know. It took commitment to follow those hippie bands around the country, living in tents, living off the earth. It took commitment the week before your wedding to fly out to Philadelphia to watch the Phillies and the Eagles play. The week before your wedding. and it took commitment to graduate from university with the #1 undergraduate business school in the country with an English degree. So, there's two stories I'd really like to share with everybody here that really just kind of exemplifies Steve's level of commitment. At Notre Dame, we have what's called Bengal Bouts. And it's this amateur boxing tournament for the students, and the proceeds go to benefit the mission work in Bangladesh. Well, it's pretty obvious to everybody here that Steve has the body of a Greek god. But what you might not know is he has the coordination of a fetus. So, what exactly does a tall, goofy, uncoordinated, former offensive lineman do to kind of fill that competitive void that's in his life? Picks up boxing. You didn't float like a butterfly. Stung like a bee a little bit. Didn't float. But I really admire Steve for the commitment that he had towards becoming a boxer. He committed himself to learning the sport, committed himself to becoming a champion. We don't need to talk about how cranky he got whenever he was training or how he starved himself in the type of shape that made one of the Olsen twins jealous. What's really important here is that Steve committed himself to becoming a boxer. He inspired us along the way, and most importantly, he taught us, year in and year out, it was okay to fail. It's all right, Steve, somebody has to win. So, the second story, and I hesitate telling the second story because it really is my favorite story of all time. But I feel like it'd almost be rude not to tell this story to 217 of Steve and Abby's closest friends and family. So, I'm going to do it. Senior year in college, we became friends with a bunch of guys on the lacrosse team. One night while hanging out at the bar and our friend Jägermeister, Steve made a commitment, a promise to one of our good friends on the lacrosse team. Fast forward several weeks later, and Steve and I are naturally tailgating for the Notre Dame Blue and Gold game, which is the spring football game, and kind of looked at each other, we were talking about the day, and it was the last home lacrosse game of the season. So we look at each other and like, Steve, do you realize this is the last day you really have to follow through with this? You know, this is the last day to go through with your commitment. He said, yeah, I know. So after a little encouragement from Boone's Farm, we work our way over to the lacrosse field. It's summer day, sun was shining. Stands were full on the home side. It was senior day. We work our way across the field on the fence line, and Notre Dame, it was towards the end of the game, Notre Dame had a good lead. We needed a stoppage in play. We're sitting there watching the game. Steve, you gonna do this? He's like, I have to do this. I told him I would do this. At this point, I yell out to one of my friends who was on the team. He happened to hear me. And he looked over, he saw me and Steve on the sideline, and he kind of flashed a quick smile because he knew what was about to happen. That night, several weeks ago, Steve made a promise, a commitment, to streak a Notre Dame lacrosse game before the end of the season. So,
oh my God.
A few moments later, as Notre Dame is celebrating his last goal of the game, Steve looks at me, flips off his flip-flops, he takes off his shirt. He says, meet me at Turtle Creek, which is an apartment complex a couple blocks away from the field. He takes off his shorts. The next thing you know, Steve the Angry Pirate Pfeiffer running across the lacrosse field. Boxer shorts in hand, swinging over his head, outmaneuvering a 90-year-old security guard who's trying to chase him down. Hops the fence, runs a Turtle Creek, mission accomplished. That is commitment from Steve Pfeiffer. A few days later, there was a website that just happened to be covering the Notre Dame-Harvard game, and I think it was all across America. That's not important. It ran a story that had a picture of Steve Pfeiffer's naked ass running across the field with the title, Notre Dame Streaks to Victory. So, what do? Where's Red? You alright? Alright. You alright? What did Steve do? Well, I'll tell you what Steve did. He writes an email to his mom that had a link to the article. It was a simple email that said, "And you thought Kate was going to be the only fighter that ever amounted to anything." So, my only real regret from that day is that I didn't have a camera with me, because a picture is truly worth 1,000 words. However, I too am a committed man, Steve. In the spirit of a friend who wants to get even, I called everybody I knew who may have been at that game that day. I called Notre Dame. They wouldn't help. Harvard didn't have anything. And just when I thought that my luck had run out, I was able to crack back up. This is the away side, by the way. The other side was much more packed. Lots of parents. It was, you know. Yeah. Special shout out to Standard Printing for getting this thing blown up for me. Harry? There you go. Thank you.